So, yes, we can start the session now. So, as I said already, this session is regarding the moving charges and magnetism. So, here we are just going to study the summary of a lesson. We are just going to recall the concepts and the formulas. Then, we are going to solve the questions from the past paper of a NEET, because I know you people are like preparing for your board exam. So simultaneously, when you are preparing for a CBSE board exam, if you prepare for a NEET as well, then you will get very good mark in your NEET exam. So that's why we are providing this classes for free. So if you want to book your classes for the next topics, you can go to our site and you can book the classes. So let us start the session now. So first we are going to study about the force on a moving charge. Before that, I'm just going to explain the brief about the magnetic field. So what is mean by magnetic field? Magnetic field is nothing but the field around the magnetic material, right? And we know that the magnetic field will be represented by the magnetic field line, and the poles of a magnetic field is north and south, right? And it's known that the magnetic field always starts from north and it will end at the south, right? And like how we studied in the electric field lines, similarly we will study here about the magnetic field strength as well. So when the magnetic field lines are close together, we can say the magnetic field strength is very high. If the lines are very far, then we can say the magnetic field strength is very less on that area. Right? So now we are going to study the force on a moving charge. So here we are correlating both the charge and the magnetic field. So let us consider the charges moving in a magnetic field. Here I just represent the charge with a value of plus q. So here we are considering the positive charge, which is moving in a uniform magnetic field with a velocity v. So it's known that there will be the magnetic force, and the force will be directly proportional to the magnitude of a charge, and directly proportional to the value of velocity in terms of sign coordinate, and it is directly proportional to the value of applied magnetic field as well. So when we are combining all, we can write F is directly proportional to QBV sine theta. So it's known whenever we are having a proportionality in our law, we can write that in an equation form by using a constant. So here the constant we are representing K. So here we can write F is equal QBV sine theta, right? Or else in terms of vector product, we can write F is equal Q times V times B. So this is our Lorentz force, right? So we know these things already, right? I'm just moving for the next one. So magnetic field strength. So from the equation of Lorentz force F is equal QBV sine theta, we can define the magnetic field strength. As I said already, magnetic field strength is nothing but the force experienced by the unit charge moving with a unit velocity perpendicular to the direction of a magnetic field. So here we will have a special cases based on the angle of magnetic field with respect to moving of a charge. So let us consider the theta as 0 or 180. It's known that the value of sine theta will be 0, right? So that time we can say the magnetic force will be equal to 0, or else we can say the charged particle is moving parallel to the magnetic field and it will not experience any force when it was moving parallel with the magnetic field. Okay, so this is about the magnetic field strength and magnetic force when the charged particle moving parallel to the magnetic field. Now, when the value of velocity is zero, which means when the charge is not moving, it is in the rest position, right? What will happen to the value of F? Of course, it will be zero because it's known that the formula for magnetic force is QVB sine theta, right? So when the value of V becomes zero, what will happen to the total value? Of course, it will also become zero. So we can say when the charged particle at a rest position, the magnetic field will not experience any force. Okay, so this is the second special case. Now we are moving for the third one. So the third one is when the charged particle moving perpendicular, sorry, when the charged particle is moving perpendicular to the magnetic field. So what will happen on that time? It's known that the angle will become 90 degree. So when the angle is 90, what will happen to the value of sine? Sine 90 will be equal to 1, right? So we know the formula of a magnetic force, which is nothing but F is equal QVB sine theta, right? So here the theta becomes 90 and sine theta becomes 1. So we will get F is equal QVP, right? So this is a value of magnetic force. So we can say a charged particle moving perpendicular to the magnetic field will experience the maximum force. So like when you're going for a NEET exam, you will get at least one question from this special cases because they will ask you when the charged particle will produce the maximum force when it was in a magnetic field. Keep it in a mind when the charged particle moving perpendicular to the magnetic field, that time only it will produce a maximum magnetic force, right? So keep it in mind. Of course, as I said already, from these special case, at least you will get one question for your NEET exam. Okay, I'm just moving for the next one. So now I'm moving for the next one. Before that, if you people want to take a notes of this, you can take it. I'm just keeping this slide for 2 minutes. You can just note down the notes. Then we will move for the next slide. Yeah, I'm moving for the next slide now. Okay. Now we are going to study what is the SI unit of a magnetic field intensity. From the formula of a Lorentz force or the magnetic force, we can write QVB sine theta, right? From this, we can write the formula of a magnetic field intensity V, which can be written as F divided by QV sine theta, right? So here, the strength of a magnetic field at a point can be said to be 1 Tesla when the charge of 1 coulomb. The strength of a magnetic field at a point can be said to be 1 Tesla if the charge of 1 coulomb while moving at a right angle to the magnetic field with a velocity of 1 meter per second experience a force of 1 newton at that point. So it's known that the magnetic field intensity will represent how much amount of magnetic field is present on a particular area. And the unit of magnetic field density is nothing but the Tesla. So now I'm moving for the next topic, which is nothing but Biot-Savart. Biot-Savart law is very important in the case of magnetic field. So the magnetic field strength or the magnetic flux density can be calculated by using Biot-Savart law. So here we are going to calculate the magnetic field density, intensity, or else we can say the magnetic flux density as dP. So let us take the wire, and in that wire we are going to just take the element dl. So here if we are having the length of a wire L xy, we are just going to take a small portion on that. So here in the Bayat-Savart law, we can study like how the elements are like using the magnetic flux density. If we are taking the element xy, which is having a length of L, we can't calculate the overall magnetic flux density. So here we have to take the small element from that, which will have the length of dl. So here we can say the value of magnetic flux density will be directly proportional to the current, where the current is flowing in a wire, right? And it will be directly proportional to the length, and it will be directly proportional to the sine theta, or else we can say the angle between the point where we are calculating to the element about like in which angle we are applying the magnetic field, whereas r is representing the distance between the element dl and the point. So here when we are combining everything, it can be written as idl sine theta divided by r square. So as I said already, when we are writing this in an equation form, we have to include the proportionality constant. Here the proportionality constant will be equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi, whereas mu naught is representing the permeability of a free space, which will be equal to 4 pi times 10 to the power negative 7. In terms of vector form, it can be written as mu naught divided by 4 pi I times dl times r divided by r power 3. So dv is perpendicular to the plane containing dl and r, and it's directed inwards. So this is all about the Bayat-Savart law. So you have to know like the how the magnetic flux density is proportional to the each term involving in the formula when you are going for an exam. I'm moving for the next one. So here it's about the application of Bayat-Savart law. So by using Bayat-Savart law, we can calculate the magnetic field at the center of a circular orbit. Center of a circular coil carrying a current. And the formula we can use here is B is equal mu naught Ni divided by R. So mu naught is permeability of a free space, N is representing the number of turns of a coil, I is representing the current in a coil, and R is representing the radius of a coil. And the next application of a Bayat-Savart law is nothing but the magnetic field due to straight conductor carrying a current, which can be calculated using a formula B is equal mu naught I divided by 4 pi A times sine pi 2 plus sine pi 1. Whereas pi 1, pi 2 is representing the corresponding angle. I showed that in a diagram. Whereas A is representing the perpendicular distance of a conductor from the point where the field is to be measured. As I said already, pi 1, pi 2 are the angles made by two ends of the conductor with a point. Now, the third application is about calculating the magnetic field for an infinitely long conductor. So whenever we are having an infinitely long conductor, the angle pi 1 and pi 2 will be equal to pi over 2. So we will use the same formula which we derived for the straight conductor. So for a straight conductor, we derived that B is equal mu naught I divided by 4 pi A times sine pi 2 plus sine pi 1, right? So here, when we are calculating for an infinitely long conductor, we can say pi 1 will be equal to pi 2 and the angle will be equal to pi 2. So when we are simplifying this, we can write mu naught divided by 4 pi times 2I divided by A will be the formula for magnetic flux density. And the fourth application of a Bayat-Savart law is calculating the magnetic field at a point on an axis of a circular coil carrying a current. And the formula for that we can use when we are solving the exam is V is equal mu naught divided by 4 times 2m divided by x power 3. So this is all the application of Bayat-Savart law. I'm just keeping this slide for 1 minute. You people can take the notes from this slide as well. Yeah, we are moving for the next one now. So it's about the Ampere circuital law, which is a very important second law in this lesson. So Ampere circuital law, which will give us the value of the line integral of magnetic field around any closed path. And here we can define the line integral of a magnetic field around any closed path in a vacuum is mu naught times the total current through the closed path. So the formula we will use for an Ampere circuital law is B naught times dl with a closed surface integral will be equal to mu naught times I. As I said already, mu naught here is representing the permeability of a free space, which will be equal to 4 pi times 10 to the power negative 7. Now we are going to study what are the applications of a Ampere circuital law. So, application of a Ampere circuital law is about calculating the magnetic field for a solenoid and for a toroid. So, in case of current carrying solenoid, we can say the value of magnetic field will be equal to mu naught times Mi. And in the case of toroid or else an endless solenoid, the value will be equal to mu naught times Mi. So this is the two application of Ampere circuital law. Now I'm moving for the next one. So the next one is the motion of a charged particle in a uniform electric field. So here we are just going to see how the electric field will act when the charged particle in a uniform field. It's known that the path of a charged particle in an electric field is always parabola. And the equation of a parabola is 2mv squared divided by qe times y. So here X is representing the width of an electric field, Y is representing the displacement of a particle from its straight path, and V here is representing the speed of a charged particle. Q is representing the charge of a particle, A is representing the electric field intensity, and M is representing the mass of a particle. So this equation we will use it when we are getting the question related with the charged particle when in the uniform electric field. So I'm moving for the next one now. So here we are just going to see motion of a charged particle in a magnetic field. So here we just set the value, the path of a charged particle in a uniform electric field is parabola, right? Let us see what will happen when it was in a magnetic field. So the path of a charged particle in a uniform magnetic field will be helix. Keep it in mind, read the question twice. If it is about electric field, the path will be parabola. If it is about the magnetic field, then the path will be helix. And keep it in mind, whenever the particle are in a magnetic field, it will move with a velocity, right? And the component of the velocity v cos theta will not provide the force to the charged particle. So here, whenever we are getting the question related with a magnetic field, and the charge is moving in the magnetic field. Okay, that time we will take only the component v sine theta. We will not take v cos theta, as I said already, because v cos theta will not provide the force to the charged particle. So under this velocity of the particle, it will move forward with a constant velocity along the direction of a magnetic field. So the other component v sine theta will produce the force F is equal QVB sine theta. So this is what we studied in the first slide, like the force produced by the charge in a magnetic field, right? So we said Fs will be equal to QVB sine theta, right? So here also we are telling, because of the component V sine theta only, it will produce this force. So which will supply the necessary centripetal force to the charged particle moving in along a move along a circular path of a radius, right? So here we are just going to equalize this force with the centripetal force because it is following a circular path, right? It's known that the centripetal force is always equal to mv square divided by r, whereas r is representing the radius and v is representing the value of velocity. Now we can equalize both. So mv sine theta. So here we have the velocity in terms of sine component. So we can write mv sine theta whole power 2 divided by r will be equal to qvb sine theta. So here when we are simplifying the similar terms, we will get v sine theta is equal bqr divided by m. This is a very important equation in this topic. Now, let us calculate what will happen to the angular velocity of rotation. It's known that angular velocity will be represented using a letter omega, right? So, which will be equal to v sine theta divided by r, right? So, when we are reassembling this equation, it will be equal to bq divided by m. So now from this we can write the frequency of a rotation, because frequency of a rotation is equal to angular velocity divided by 2 pi. We calculated angular velocity as bq divided by m. We are just applying the values. We will get the value of frequency of rotation. Now we are going to see what will be the value of time period. We know that the time period is nothing but 1 over frequency, or else we can say they will have the inverse relationship, right? So here when we are reciprocaling the equation of frequency, it will be just like opposite of that, or else we can say it will be equal to 2 pi m divided by b. So now we have an equation of component of a velocity when the charged particle in a magnetic field, and we have a similar, for a similar charge in a magnetic field, we have an angular velocity equation, frequency equation, and the time period of revolution. So now I'm just going to keep this slide for 3 more minutes. You people can take a notes of it. So I'm moving for the next slide now. So hope you people are noting it down. Now we are moving for the cyclotron. Cyclotron is one of the best application of a magnetic field. This device is used to accelerate and enhance the energies that positively charge particles. Okay, so this is done by placing the particle in oscillating electric and perpendicular magnetic field. So here, like what was the actual thing happening, when we are when the particle is moving between electric field and the magnetic field. Okay, so that time, it will get disturbed by both, and because of that it will start moving faster, and that time it will produce the circular path as well. So when it was moving very fast, it will like hit something with a high energy. So if we want to break any atoms or something, like we will use this cyclotron only. And the basic concept we are using in a cyclotron is the centripetal force will be equal to magnetic Lorentz force. So we know that the centripetal force which is used, or which is the main reason for the object or any materials which is revolving in the circular orbit with a constant speed, right? So here we can say the centripetal force will be equal to mv squared divided by r. And initially we studied about the magnetic Lorentz force, which will be equal to qvb sine theta. So here we are not going to consider any component because the path following here is a circular path, right? So I'm just taking qvb. Now we can equalize both. When we are equalizing both, we will get the value of radius of a circular path. And from that, we can calculate the time to travel a semicircular path. The time can be written as pi r divided by v. So here we so here from this expression we can write the value of R divided by V. So will be equal to M divided by QV, right? So when we are applying here, it will be like this. So time to travel a semicircular path will be constant always when in the case of cyclotron. So now, so now we are going to study what will happen to the maximum velocity of a particle when it was in the maximum radius of a path. So again, by using the same equation, by equalizing the centripetal and the magnetic Lorentz force, we can write mv naught square. So when it was reaching a maximum circular radius, of course it will have a maximum velocity, right? So we can write r naught as a maximum velocity, v naught as a maximum, r naught as a maximum radius, and v naught as a maximum velocity. So here we can write it as equal to bq v naught. So when we are simplifying this, we will get bq r naught divided by m, right? So by using this, we can write the value of kinetic energy as well, and then we can write the time period of a oscillating in an electric field. Similarly, by using time period, we can write the frequency because it's known that time period is equal 1 over frequency and inversely vice versa, right? And then we can write the angular frequency. I'm just going to keep this screen for 2 minutes. You people can note all the equations in your notebook because it will be very helpful for you when you know all the formulas when you are going for a NEET exam. We are going for the next slide now. So it's all about the force on a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field. So it's known that the force on a current carrying conductor when it placed in a magnetic field can be calculated using a formula ILV sine theta. So here I is representing the current through the conductor. V is a magnetic field, L is the length of a conductor, and theta is the angle between current and the magnetic field. So here also we will have a special cases based on the angle how the direction of a current and magnetic field are present. So if the direction of a current and magnetic field is parallel, we can say the value of sine theta will be equal to 0, and that time the force on a current carrying conductor will also be equal to 0. So simply we can say when a conductor is placed along a magnetic field, no force will act on a conductor. Similarly, when the angle between the direction of current and the magnetic field is perpendicular, the value of sine theta will be equal to 1, and that time the value of the force will be maximum. So we can say when the conductor is placed perpendicular to the magnetic field, it will experience maximum force. So now we are moving for the force between two parallel conductors carrying a current. So force between parallel conductors carrying a current. So when a current is in the same direction, in the case of two conductors, it's known that it will attract each other with the force, and that will be calculated using a formula F is equal mu naught divided by 4 pi times 2 I1 I2 divided by R per unit length of a conductor. And when the conductor is having a current in opposite direction, the two conductors will repel each other with same force. Okay, and the SI unit of a current here is ampere. We know. So from this we can define 1 ampere is the current which on flowing through the each of the two parallel uniform linear conductor placed in a free space at a distance of 1 meter from each other produces a force of 2 times 10 to the power negative 7 Newton per meter along their length. So now we are moving for the torque concept. It's known that torque is a turning effect. So here we are going to study what will happen to the value of torque on a current carrying coil placed in a magnetic field. So here it's known that the torque can be calculated using a formula M times B. Whereas M here is representing the magnetic dipole moment of a coil and B is representing the magnetic field. So here we can write in terms of cross product tau is equal mv sine alpha. So here alpha is representing the angle between magnetic field and the perpendicular to the plane of Earth. As I said already, M here is representing the magnetic dipole moment and I is representing the value of current. So here we are just replacing the magnetic moment by using a formula NIA. So N is representing the number of turns of a coil. So we can say the torque is directly proportional to the number of turns of a coil. So if the coil is having more turns, of course it will have the more torque value. Here also we are having a special cases based on the angle between a magnetic field and the perpendicular to the plane of a coil. So if they are parallel to the magnetic field, which means the angle is 0, right? What will happen to the value of cos theta? It will become 1. So what will happen to the value of torque now? It will be equal to NIP. Similarly, when they are perpendicular, the angle will be 90 and the torque will be equal to 0. Right? This is all about torque. I'm just keeping this slide for 2 minutes. You people can like note it down for your reference. Okay, next we are at the end of the topic. So here we are going to study about the moving coil galvanometer. It's known that this moving coil galvanometer is working based on a principle that when a current carrying coil is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a torque. There is a restoring torque due to phosphor bronze strip which brings back the coil to its normal position, right? So the formula we will use for the moving coil galvanometer is IS equal KNBA theta, which will be equal to G theta. So here G is representing the galvanometer constant, and here usually when there is a equilibrium position, we will say deflecting torque will be equal to restoring torque. From that only we will derive this equation. I hope you people did it. So now we are going to talk about the current sensitivity and the voltage sensitivity. Current sensitivity of a galvanometer is the deflection produced when a unit current is passed through the galvanometer, which will be calculated using a formula theta divided by I. Whereas theta here is representing the angle of deflection and I is representing the value of current, right? So the formula we will use for calculating the current sensitivity is NBA divided by K. Similarly, the voltage sensitivity is defined as the deflection produced when the unit potential difference is applied across the galvanometer, which will be calculated using a formula NBA divided by KR. Right? Now, we are going to study how to convert the galvanometer into voltmeter and ammeter. It's known that galvanometer is a device which is used to check whether the circuit is having current or not. Now we are going to convert that into voltmeter and ammeter. It's known that ammeter, now it's known that ammeter is a device which is used to measure the current. Voltmeter is a device which is used to measure the voltage. Let us see how to convert the galvanometer into voltmeter. It's known that the galvanometer will be converted into voltmeter by putting the high resistance in a series connection. So that time the total resistance of a voltmeter will get increased, right? So we can say the galvanometer resistance then will be equal to Rg plus R. So the current through the galvanometer will be equal to V divided by Rg plus R. So here the value of resistance can be calculated using a formula V divided by Ig minus G. So the range of a voltmeter will be 0 to V volt here. Let us see how to convert a galvanometer into a meter. It's known that the galvanometer can be converted into a meter by connecting a low resistance in parallel with a shunt one. Okay, so here the formula we will use for calculating the shunt resistance is Ig divided by I minus Ig times Rg, whereas I is representing the total current through the diameter, Ig is representing the current in a galvanometer, and R here is representing the effective resistance of a ammeter. So usually ammeter will not have a resistance. So this is how we have to change the ammeter, galvanometer into ammeter and voltmeter. Now, at the end, like we are going to study what is the condition for maximum sensitivity of a galvanometer. So this is very important. The galvanometer is to be very sensitive when a small current produce a large deflection. So the formula we said like the theta, the deflection will be equal to NBA divided by Ki. So the value of deflection will be longer when n is larger, b is larger, a is larger, and the value of k is small, right? So this is very important condition you have to know. Okay. So this is all about the moving charges and magnetism. So now we are just going to solve the questions from the past NEET papers. So I'm just giving you 2 minutes, people. You can revise everything, then we can start solving the question. Okay, let us solve this question. So here the question is about what is the value of a magnetic field at a point P. So here it's given in the question two identical non-conducting wire AOB and COD are placed at right angle to each other. So here I'm just going to draw the diagram. So let me draw the diagram. So here we can say AOB and then we can say COD. So the wire carries I1 and I2. So we can say this is carrying the current I1 and this is carrying a current I2. And point P is lying at a distance D from O. We said this is O. So from a distance of D, I'm just taking this point P along a direction perpendicular to the plane containing the wire. Right? Now we have to calculate the magnetic field at a point P. That is our question. So the magnetic field at a point P. So it's known that the magnetic field at a point P can be calculated using B is equal root of B1 square plus B2 square. Like how we are solving the vector solution. Okay. So here we can write B will be equal to root of mu naught times 2I1 divided by 4 pi d whole power plus similarly for the ACOD we can write mu naught 2I2 divided by 4 pi d whole power 2. When we are simplifying this, we will get the value of net magnetic field is equal mu naught divided by 2 pi d times I1 plus I2. So from this we can say the correct answer for this question is option B. We are moving for the next question. I'm just keeping this question for you people. You can solve this question and you can post your answers in the chat box. So I will just tell you like which formula we have to use it here. So here the question is about calculating the magnitude of a force experienced by the electron at an instant. It's known that the magnetic force or else the Lorentz force experienced by the charge can be calculated using a formula Q times B in terms of vector form, right? So here Q is representing the charge. Here the question is about the electron. So the value of charge will be equal to 1.6 times negative 10 to the power negative 19 coulomb, right? Whereas V here is representing the velocity. Is there is the value of velocity is given in the question? Yes, it was given. It is 10 to the power 5, right? Whereas B here is representing the magnetic field. Is that we have a value of magnetic field? No. So first we have to calculate the value of magnetic field. So divided by 4 pi is representing the permeability of a free space, right? So we can write the value 4 pi times 10 to the power negative 7. Whereas n is representing the number of turns which is given as 2 in the question. So we can write 2 and I is representing the current which is given as 5 ampere divided by 4 times 5 times the R here is representing radius of a conductor, or else we can say the distance between the electron and the conductor. So here it's given as 20 centimeter. So it can be written as 20 times 10 to the power negative 2. When we are simplifying this, we will get the answer of 0.5 times 10 to the power negative 5. So now we can apply this value in the force formula. So F will be equal to 1.6 times 10 to the power negative 19 times 10 to the power 5 times 0.5 times 10 to the power negative. Newton. So this is the answer of a magnitude of a force. So the correct answer here, I'm moving for the next question now. Like you people can like the formula we have to use for this question. Just to use for this question, type your yes. Yes, most of them are telling the correct answer. Yes, the formula we have to use here is B is equal mu naught Ni. Right, very good. Yeah, keep it up. Yeah, do it. Yeah, solve it. I need an answer. I need a final answer, or else you can people tell me like which option is correct. Yeah, yeah. Correct answer. Yeah, B is equal mu naught Ni. That's the formula we have to use it. Yes, very good. Yes. Okay. Okay. Tell the answer now. Yes. Option A. Yeah. Okay. Most of them are telling option A. Yes, very good. Yes. Option A is the correct answer. Let me solve this question. So, like it will be useful for you. So I said already, like here we will use a formula B is equal mu naught Ni, right? Whereas mu naught is representing the permeability, which is pi times 10 to the power negative 7, right? Whereas representing the number of turns. So first we have to calculate the number of turns because it is not given in the question. So number of turns is equal to here will be 100 turns per mm. So we have to convert this to normal terms. So we can write like 100 divided by 10 to the power negative 3, which will be equal to 10 to the power 5, right? So 10 to the power 5 turns per meter. And the value of I is given as 1 ampere. So now we can apply all the values. B will be equal to 4 pi times 10 to the power negative 7 times 10 to the power 5 times 1. When we are simplifying all, we will get the answer of 12.56 times 10 to the power negative Tesla. Yes, very good. So the correct answer for this question is option A. Very good. You people did a very good work. Okay. So now I'm moving for the next question. Like you people can again try this and you can tell me the answer. First, I'm expecting the formula from you people. Yes. Yeah, very good. Yeah, the formula is B dot A, or else we can say B A cos theta. Yes, very good. because here we are calculating only the magnetic flux, right? The question is about magnetic flux. We have a value of length and the magnetic field and the resistance as well. Okay, so we can say the magnetic flux can be calculated using a formula B dot A, or else we can say B dot A cos theta, right? Yeah, I need an answer now. What will be the answer? What will be the angle here? So the angle here will be 90, right? So what will happen to the cos theta? Cos theta will becomes like 1, right? So what will happen now? So when we are applying the value, it will be 0 0.5. Yes, very good. Yeah, the correct answer is 0 0.5 Weber. Yeah, so 0 0.5 Weber. So option A is correct here. I'm moving for the next question. Okay, yeah, try to solve this question. Tell me the formula which we have to use it here. Yes, very good. So here the question is about magnetic force, right? And the magnetic field here is given in a vector form, and it's given the wire carrying a current along a positive x-axis as a length of L. So it's known that the force can be calculated using a formula I times L times B, right? So here we can write I times L I because it is moving in a x-axis. So the length will be Li. And the B here is given as 2I minus plus 3J minus 4K, right? So here we know that when we are multiplying with the quantities like I times 3Lk plus 4Lj, we will get it, right? So here we can write the value of force will be equal to this in terms of vectors, right? Now, when we are again multiplying this inside, the force will be equal to 3Li k vector plus 4Li j vector, right? So now we can calculate the value of magnitude of a force, which will be equal to root of the magnitude square, right? So 3Li 2 plus 4L I power 2. So here again it can be written as root of 9L square I square plus 16L square I square. So when we are simplifying, it will be Li root of 25. So here we can write the force will be equal to 5Li, right? So the correct answer here will be option D. Very good. Okay. Now, so I'm just keeping this for you people. You can solve it and you can tell me that, like, you can post your answer in a chat box. Tell me like which option is correct. Yes, yeah, very good. Most of the people are telling the correct answer. Yes. Yeah. Very good. So the correct answer here is option A. Very good. Yeah. Option A. So how you people solve? Like based on equalizing the forces, right? So when the proton released from the rest, it's known that the electric force will be equal to Q, right? And here it's known that the force will be equal to mass times acceleration. So we can equalize like this, right? So from this we can write the electric field will be equal to ma divided by E. But here we have to calculate the total force experienced by the electric and magnetic field. So we can write F will be equal to QE plus Q times V cross B, right? So here we can again write the force will be equal to mass times acceleration, but here it's given as 3a. The acceleration is 3a naught, right? Which will be equal to EE plus EV naught B, right? So again, when we are simplifying this in terms of B, it will be equal to 2MA naught divided by EV naught. So the magnetic field here will be perpendicular to the both V naught and the acceleration, right? So using the right angle rule, we can say then it will be downwards. So we calculated the value of electric, magnetic and the direction. So the correct answer here is option A. Very good. And moving for the next question. Yeah, very good. So the formula we are going to use here is B is equal mu naught Ni, right? Yeah, very good. Because here the question is about calculating the magnetic field in a long solenoid. Whereas the length is given as 50 centimeter and number of turns is given as 100 and the current is given as 2.5 ampere, right? So here we can write the value of n as n divided by L because we don't have the exact number of turns, right? So we have in terms of length only. So here we can write n will be equal to n divided by L, so which will be equal to 200, right? So here we can write the B will be equal to 4 pi times 10 to the power negative 7 times 200 times 2.5. When we are simplifying, it will be equal to 6.28 times 10 to the power negative 4 Tesla. So it's a very easy question. So the correct answer will be option C here. Okay, I'm moving for the next question. Yeah, just let me know like what is the correct answer. It's a very easy question. It's about only the like balancing. Okay, I just included this question for the galvanometer only. So it's known that whenever the galvanometer is showing the null deflection, that will be the balance. So 8 divided this distance can be x and this distance can be written as 40 minus x, right? Because it's given that the total length is 40. So we can write 8 divided by x is equal to 12 divided by 40 minus x. So again this can be written as 2 divided by x is equal 3 divided by 40 minus x. When we are simplifying this, it will be 80 minus 2x is equal 3x. So again 80 will be equal to 3x plus 2x. So again it will be 5x is equal 80. X will be equal to 80 divided by 5, 40, right? So the length will be 40. So again when we are dividing 80 divided by, sorry, I just made a mistake. So when we are dividing 80 divided by 5, it will be equal to 16, right? So 16 centimeter. Okay, we didn't convert the meter, centimeter to meter, meter to centimeter. So I'm just keeping the same. So it will be 16 centimeter. But here it's given that the total length is like 16 centimeter. So here we are dividing by 2, right? So it will be 8 centimeter. Okay. Now I'm moving for the next one. So try to answer for this question. Just post your answer in option. Answer is an option in chat box. Yeah, I'm waiting for it. Yeah, very good. Most of them is telling correct answer. Yeah, very good. Magnetic force, right? Okay. Okay, very good. Yeah, I'm moving for the next question. So there are so many questions you can solve it. Okay. So due to time constraint, I'm just ending the session here. Okay. So you people can like ask your doubts and question now, because if you have a doubts, you can clarify here. Then you can go to our site and you can practice your uh, neat questions based on the topic in from our portal, because everything was detailedly like segregated in our site, so you can have you like it will give you the correct score as well as like answer and the video explanation for that answer and everything will be there. Okay, so I'm just ending here. There is 20 more minutes. See, people can like ask me the question, like you can clarify your doubt in the chat box. I will. Yeah, I'm waiting for the questions. I'm just stop sharing the screen here. Okay. Thank you so much for attending the sessions. I'm waiting for your questions.